Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Chai along with the expansion Chai High Tea. Andrew is going to show us how to play, and then we'll be back for our review.
Alright, so Chai is a game for 1 to 5 players, designed by Dan and Connie Kazmaier and published by Steep Games. This game is played in about 20 to 60 minutes, where players are going to be going to the pantry and to the market in order to fulfill tea orders. Let's see how it's played. Alright, so I already have a 4-player game set up. In this game, players are going to be tea merchants, like I said, and you're going to be doing one of 3 things on your turn. Okay? You're either going to be going to the market, you're going to be going to the pantry, or you're going to be reserving customers and using abilities. Now, the game is only going to last 5 rounds, and each round is going to be finished when each of these cups have been filled with an order. So in a 4-player game, once 4 orders are completed, that will be the end of the first round. If you're playing a 2-player game, you're only going to have 2 cups, so the rounds are going to be shorter. All right, and after the end of the 5 rounds, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. The way you are going to be scoring points is going to be with your order cards here, as well as with any money that is also going to score you victory points. All right, when you're setting up, the first player is going to get 1 coin, and everyone else will get 2 coins as their starting money, as well as if you're wanting to start with a special ability, you can use the High Tea expansion to use an ability, and you'll add it to your player board. And so let me show you where that's at now. All right, so with your player area, you're going to have your tea house. You're going to start with a customer that you are going to be given of your color. Everybody's going to start with one of their color, and then their cards are going to be shuffled together to create the customer deck. You're going to take 6 leaf tokens of your color. And if you are playing with the expansion, what you're going to do is you're going to take this little ability tile and you're going to place it right here next to your board. Each tile is going to be double-sided. And so what you're going to be doing throughout the game is whenever you use the ability, you will then flip it over so that the next round you can use the other ability, and you will continue flipping as you use the abilities. All right, so let me talk to you about your different actions. What you're going to be doing is you're either going to go to the market to buy ingredients, you're going to go to the pantry to get ingredients, or again, you're going to reserve some customers and use abilities. You can only reserve up to 3 customers at a given time. So let's go over each of the actions now. Now, the first action you're going to be able to do is going to be visiting the market. When you visit the market, you're automatically going to gain 3 coins. However, when you go to the market, you have to spend at least 1 coin. And the way this is going to work is you're going to be buying ingredients, and the cost is going to be determined by which column they are in. Okay, so this first column is going to be worth a copper. I'll kind of tip these up so they're easier to see. So this is going to be worth a copper. These are going to be worth 2, and these are going to be worth 3. All right. However, and you can buy as many as you want. Everything will slide down as you buy them. However, it will not refill until after your turn. Okay, but for a simple 1 single buy, you can get multiple ingredients. So with that, I believe this is jasmine. So what you're going to do is if I wanted to buy these tiles, since they are the same tile, I can buy them with 1 single buy, meaning I can get both of these for paying 1 price. And the way you're going to do that is you are going to find the most expensive. So in this row, this one is going to be the most expensive. I would spend just 2 coins instead of 3, and I would get both of these tiles, and I would place them into my tea house. Okay, after I do that, I slide down and I can continue to make purchases. I can now buy these 2 lemons here if I wanted to for $2 instead of having to buy them each individually for 4 total. Okay, and as you're doing this, you're going to be able to buy more and more ingredients. However, you will notice that there are some of these tiles that are wild. When you are buying for a wild, okay, I cannot buy all 3 of these in 1 simple action. This breaks it up. All right, these cannot count as these green leaves. However, if these random or wild ingredients tiles are adjacent to each other. So if there was another wild next to it, I could count those together and I could buy them both for one single buy. Okay, so do keep in mind that you do have to spend at least $1, and this will not refill until after your turn. So that's what you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to come here to the market, gain $3, and buy any ingredients that you need. Now, you can only hold a maximum of 12 ingredients. That is going to be shown here on your tea house. So at most, you're going to be able to have our 12 ingredients, so you are limited there. So that is the first action of going and visiting the market. Now, let's go look at the pantry action. All right, so now for the pantry action, you're going to come here and you can take any 3 pantry items. Now at the start of the game, there is one of every single item. So when you come here, you can take any one of these, or you can blind draw from the bag and just kind of hope that you get what you need. All right, this does not cost you any money. You just come, choose 3 tokens that you want. I should say too during this video that these are the upgraded tokens, so these are the acrylic ones, and as you see, I've got some pieces that did not come in the best of shape, so take that with a grain of salt. We'll talk about that more during our review. So yeah, you can take any one of these. Again, it won't refill until after your turn, or you can blind draw out of the bag. Now you can, when you come to the pantry, spend 1 coin to kind of reset the board. So put them all back in the bag and draw out 5 new ones. And that way, maybe if you don't see what you want, you could do that. But you can only do that once. You cannot continue to spend money for more and more resets of the pantry. Okay, so that is the pantry action. So now let's go to the third option, which is going to be reserving a customer and using an ability. All right, so when you choose to do the reserve a customer and use abilities action, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to take a look at the available customers in the display, and you're going to choose one to take and reserve for yourself. Okay, and these are going to range from anywhere between 5 and 15 points that these cards are going to be worth. Some of them are going to just have market tiles. Some are just going to have simply pantry tiles, and some will have a mixture of. So what you're going to do is I can, let's say I want to claim this tile here, and I will place it next to my tea house, and then I can use, this is going to refill, and then I can use any one of these abilities. And these abilities are going to change throughout the game, which I'll get to when we talk about end of the round, kind of like setting up for the next round. So I'll go over these ones real simple. So these are some of the abilities that you're going to be able to use during the game. So this one here is going to allow you to make a copper or a silver purchase at the market for free. Okay, so you won't have to pay, you'll just get a free silver or bronze purchase from the market for free. Okay, this one over here is going to allow you to sell a flavor tile for a silver. So you can get rid of one of your tiles that you have in your tea house, and you'll get $2 for that. And then the one there in the middle is going to allow you to exchange 2 tiles on your player board for 1 non-wild tile. So that is from the pantry. So keep that in mind. I know, for example, so the reference I have is kind of mixed up. So this is, it's a market tile, but it's actually pantry, and this one says pantry when it's actually a market. But these are some of the deluxe. That's a deluxe ability that you could find in the game. So do kind of make sure you understand what they say, because there could be some misprints on your copy. Okay, so after you've done that, you get to refill. Okay, and what you're going to be doing is then, after you have taken your action, whether it's a market, pantry, or a reservation / use the abilities action, you then have the opportunity to fulfill an order. So let's talk about what you have to do to fulfill an order. All right, so after I've taken my action, I can either fulfill an order from one of the cards that I have reserved, or I can just simply reserve or fulfill one of the orders that is already out on the display. So you don't have to have it reserved in order to fill that order. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can either fill from the display or from one of your reserved cards. Okay, so let's say I wanted to fulfill this one. I would simply pay the ingredients. So I'd get rid of the 2 lavender, and then I believe this is cinnamon. All right, and then since this is my color, I have to use a leaf of my color. So I would use one of these black leaf tokens, and I would have them. Now, let's say I was fulfilling this red. Okay, so again, I would spend the ingredients needed. However, this is a red leaf, not one of my black leaves. I would have to, in order to fill this order, pay the red player 1 copper in order to buy one of their red leaves from them. Okay, so you are essentially giving them a point in order to fulfill this order. So it isn't like negotiable. They can't deny you from getting that leaf. They have to give it to you if it's available. However, later in the game, if there are no more red leaves available, you cannot fulfill this order. And for every order that you cannot fulfill that you have reserved at the end of the game is going to be negative points. So make sure to keep that in mind as you are playing throughout the game. You have to make sure and monitor and see how many leaves of each color are still available in the game. Okay, so, but let's go back. Let's say I was fulfilling this order. I'm going to take the ingredients needed for the order, and I'm going to place them into one of these teacups up at the top. Okay, so let's say I went ahead and I placed the order there. I am then going to flip the tip token, and I will receive the reward. All right. And you might want to be, there is a variant in the game where depending on who has a majority in each cup for their leaf, so I want to try to have as many of these black leaves in as many cups as possible to win majority for them, because each cup is going to give a victory point as well for having a majority. That is a variant that you can play with if you like. You don't have to if you don't want to. All right. And so after every single one of those cups have taken an order and the tip token is flipped over, that is going to signal the end of the round. At the end of the round, you will advance the round marker up 1. All right, you will place out new tip tokens. Again, these are upgraded ones. The original ones are cardboard. Okay, you're going to rotate the first player, and you are also going to change out one of these abilities. A player is going to get to choose which ability they're going to replace with the next one off the top of the deck, so that these will always be ever changing, so you'll have new abilities available to you throughout the game. Okay, and so then, like I said, at the end of the 5 rounds, you're going to get points for your fulfilled orders. You're also going to get points for any leftover money that you have. You're going to lose points for any orders that you have reserved that are not filled. Okay, and then also you'll get points for majorities in the cups. Okay, so that is how you're going to play the game. After 5 rounds, whoever has the highest score is going to be the winner, and that's how you play Chai. So let's take it back up top and go over to the couch and get our final review.
Okay, we're back, and thank you, Andrew, for the teach.
Yeah.
So let's talk about positives first for the base game and the expansion.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yes.
All right, so for the base game, we'll start with the base game. And so, well, actually, I guess it kind of goes along with base game and with the expansion. So first off, I would say that the production for the game, art is beautiful. The components are beautiful. So I'm kind of lumping production and art in. It's really nice. You got the actual teacups that you're using to fill with those acrylic tokens. They have the screen printing on them. Mm-hmm. You have the beautiful art on the tarot size cards, those nice thick cards, which are nice. Yeah. The market board is nice. It's dual layered, so that, you know, is just really aesthetically, it's very beautiful looking while it's on the table. It's going to definitely pop and you know, bring some attention to the table when people see it. You know, you have those really nice wooden leaf pieces. So with the game, it's not just cubes, you know, you actually have the different leaves, and mm-hmm. you have the different colors and the insert and everything. It all kind of works really nicely in the box. So it's overall, I really like the production. The game is quick, so I mean it's a 20 to 40 minute game, I believe, if I remember right, which is pretty fast. You know, even in a 2-player game, you can really move pretty quickly through the turns and get done because there's only 5 rounds, and a round is over once those teacups are filled. So in a 2-player game, we could really be booking it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it plays quick. I hadn't really noticed any like best player count. I think it works at almost all player counts, or all player counts. I shouldn't say most. I'll say all player counts. It works really well. It's a quick. It's definitely in a bigger box. Makes you think it's a bigger game, but it's actually a pretty quick, pretty simple game. So it's not a tough teach. So yeah, I think that's some of the positives for me when it comes to the game. And you know, the expansion is, although small, you do have these thick tiles that have really nice artwork on them to go along with your tea house. And the dice that come with the 2 dice that come with the expansion are, you know, good quality dice, I should say. So yeah, so that is those are my positives. What are your positives for the game?
Well, my positives are that it is a pretty game, just like you said. I pretty much agree with all the positives that you gave it. The components are good quality. I feel that it's easy to learn. I am not a fan of the rule book, though. I mean, that's probably just me because I've tried to, you know, like learn it myself, but it was kind of annoying. Like, I didn't like the rule book, but I guess that would be a negative, but I just kind of...
I thought we were talking about positives first.
I know, that kind of just came to my brain for some weird apparent reason.
Before the review, she's like, well, just talk about positives, and then we'll go.
So, okay, so anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's easy to play. I like the components. I like the theme of it. I thought I got excited about it being about tea, and, you know, kind of like a barista type game, which I thought was different than anything I had played. And, you know, the pieces are really nice. I feel like it's not a cheap feeling game. And just, you know, overall, like, I feel like it's enjoyable, the base game.
Yeah. And if you don't know, this is Samantha's number 20 game of all time.
Yeah, number 20.
So we had done our top 100 games. You did your top 50, and this made Samantha's number 20. So it has to be really good, right? It has to be really good, right?
I mean, really good would be like up higher.
I'm just saying, top 20 is pretty high.
20 still.
So yeah, any other positives that you would like to point out?
I do like that it's a quick play too. So it is a game that it doesn't take that long to set up, and that you can play it fairly quick.
Doesn't take long if I set it up. You don't like setting it up.
Yeah, that's true. That goes along with the rule
But then
book.
again, it was a long time ago when you tried to set it up, when you were first kind of getting into the gaming, so you were a little caught off. But yeah.
Yeah, you had me do it, and it was a hot mess.
You got very frustrated.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done. And I threw the rule book. No.
Yep.
But yeah, so those are all of my positives.
You should know, I believe they did a remake of the rule book in this last Kickstarter, but you had to pay to get it or something like that. I did not order it. I was like, it's, you know,
you should be
not worth some
grandfathered
extra
in.
money.
Why would you have to pay for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
So
anyway,
that's what happened. If I have my facts straight, I might be a little wrong there. Honestly, that's not one of the things I was focusing on when I was planning this review. Okay. So that's your positives. Number 20 game of all time. So let's talk. Is there any other positives you would like to discuss?
No, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think you covered really all of the positives,
all
and I'm
them?
kind of just agreeing with you.
Okay.
And besides,
did you like the gameplay?
The gameplay?
Yeah, how simple it was, all that stuff? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll let you go first. Let's talk about, first we'll just talk about the base game, then we can talk about the expansion. What are your negatives?
Okay, so rule book, that was a negative.
Right, if you haven't gotten that already, it's
yeah. And something that is frustrating is the expansion.
Oh, so you have no negatives for the base game?
Not really.
I just want to
Not
playing this
really. I'm trying to
Okay.
be an optimistic person.
No, it's fine. No, okay. So no negatives for the base game.
For the base game, I would say, okay, let me take that back. I'm jumping into the expansion.
I don't want to coerce a negative out of you.
No,
I just
because
want
I
your-
remember what we talked about prior to this video
Okay.
of what a negative was with the game in general. So,
Okay.
at the beginning of the game, you start out with your pantry full of one ingredient each.
Right. So there's 5 different pantry items, and you start with 1 each. Yep.
Yes, you start with 1 each. Now, I feel like it would be fair if they were random. Like you pull them out of the bag and they're random
Right.
in the pantry.
Right. Why do
Just
you
like-
think that?
I think that because there are cards that come out that are easy to fill. So literally the cards could come out and you could fill them in your very first turn, which I feel like it should be a little more complicated than that, but it should be random because
But they're also worth 8 points,
yes, and
which
they're
is a little
also-
ridiculous because it doesn't cost you anything
Yeah.
to get that. You can immediately on your first turn, if it's out there, and I would say that these pantry only cards make up about, I don't know, I think they have like 6 or 8 of them in the little deck. So if it's a 2-player game, like there's a good chunk of the deck that is just these cards.
Yeah. It doesn't really entice you to want to do the more difficult cards because if you're only getting like an extra like 2 points for a
You're
more
not.
difficult
Some
card,
of the ones where you have to go and buy the tiles are actually worth less points
Yeah,
than
that's
just
true.
that first turn. If one of those pantry tiles are out there and they just need 1 of each pantry, I don't mean to jump in on your negative, but you kind of stole this from me. And so, because this was one of the first things I did not like about this
yeah.
game was that like your first turn, you could say, okay, I'm going to go to the pantry. Doesn't cost me any money. I can take 3. Boom, boom, boom. I'm fulfilling this tile. I get 8 points.
Right.
I'm fulfilling
I'm
this order. I
thinking-
get 8 points. Meanwhile, there are ones that cost like 3 different ingredients, but you have to actually go to the marketplace and spend money in order to get those ingredients if they're out there and at a decent price to fulfill that order. And that order, so you have to essentially give up something, income or whatever, in order to get those and get the right ingredients to fulfill an order that is worth less points than simply going to the pantry, getting 3 for free and getting 8 points. I don't know. Maybe that's a minor thing and maybe that's just me. I just think if it's that quick where I can just, first rule of the game or first thing of the game, boom, and half the round is over because somebody already fulfilled that cup.
Yeah.
You know?
That's his biggest pet peeve.
It's one of, probably not the biggest, but it's one of the issues that I do have with the base game is this fact that like it could just be first player, boom, I get an order, I'm immediately ahead of you by 8 points.
Well,
and you have to hope that the other person doesn't get it. Granted, there's a chance another one comes out, blah, blah, blah. But I just think maybe if the pantry tiles were random at the beginning, it's less likely to be, I'm going to just fulfill this right away. Granted, you still could, or I might just take those cards out. I don't know. I get that that's probably not in the spirit of the game, but I honestly hate those cards.
Yeah, well, and that's what I said, like, is that it should have been random because
Right. I'm agreeing with you.
The marketplace is random, so I don't know why the pantry isn't random as well. To me, that doesn't make sense. And I'm thinking more of like, okay, there's bigger cards that are worth 11, 12 points.
15 points.
But why are you going to work double, like, as hard to get that card when you can easily fill... It doesn't really entice you to want to try harder,
Right.
is the way that I see it, is that it makes it so easy that you're like, oh, well, of course I would do that. Like, why wouldn't I fill that card? I can do it right now. Like, that
Right.
makes sense. So, yeah, I feel like that. So that is a negative with the base game. Now, going into my negatives for the expansion. I probably have more negatives to say about the expansion than I do with the base game. The expansion only came with a few of the like abilities.
6 double-sided tiles,
Yeah.
and each side had a different ability. So
Right.
each player would get one tile, and you would start with it on one side, and whenever you would use that ability, that tile would flip over, and you would
Right.
have to use that ability before you could flip it back.
Yeah. So first issue.
And it came with 2 dice.
First issue was that I felt like the abilities, some were really awesome and some were like not so great. So some were overpowered, and then the other ones, so if like one player had one that was overpowered and then the other one kind of had one that was like meh, like, and it would, we talked about this, how you'd be like trying to flip back to the other side,
Right.
because you'd be like, oh, this is crappy, I gotta just go back to this one because this, I don't really like this ability and stuff. And so I felt like it was not balanced when it came to the
Right.
abilities.
Yeah, if you got a really bad ability and somebody got a really good ability, you
Yeah.
could be honestly kind of screwed. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, I don't even want to use this ability, but I can't get to the good side because I have to
Right.
use this.
Yeah.
And you're like, meanwhile, this other person is getting ingredients for free and, you
Yeah.
know, all the fulfilling, you know, stuff and getting extra bonuses and all
Well,
this other
and
stuff.
I had one that was like copy your player's ability.
Right.
And that was my best one that I had. But when
That only works if the other person has a good ability.
Yes, and so when I would go to use it, I'd be like, "Oh, he flipped it. I don't
Right.
even want this ability." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it kind of.
Then you have to wait for me to flip it.
Yes.
I agree. There was a lot of some abilities were really good and some were really bad. And honestly, like it was like, oh, I mean, it just didn't really add as much to the game as I'd hoped it would.
Right, yeah.
I'd hoped that the abilities would have been a little bit more balanced. They would have been a little bit more, I don't know, impacts. Like some are very impactful in the game, and like you can get some stuff for free and really get rolling. But then other ones, it's just kind of like a waste of an ability. Like you're like, I'm gonna use this because I have to get to the other side, but I really don't want to, and I really don't care, you know. And then like they have the dice, and one thing is that you can make the game harder. Like why? I don't. Hey, roll these dice, and you can't do this or do that. You can't buy this or buy that for this round. Like what? Like why? To me that's a stupid thing. Just hey. Chai, you don't like that Chai is a game that's quick and snappy in 20 minutes? Here, let's make it take a little longer.
Yeah. And my other issue with the expansion was the quality of the pantry tokens.
Well, that was not an expansion.
Okay.
That was add-ons.
Okay, I'm saying just add-ons for
Right.
what we had. I thought they were like poor quality. Some paint was like, or whatever they call
The screen
that.
print was chipped
The
on
screen-
about a third of them was chipped.
Right. And so I was kind of like, for the price that you paid for those, I didn't think it was worth it.
Right.
So I wanted to put that out there because, you know, if people were going to purchase them or whatever, like it just didn't seem worth it
Right.
to me.
The
And
tip tokens were nice. They weren't chipped.
yeah,
We didn't have any chipped with the tip tokens.
right.
Those were decent. The
Yeah.
the pantry tokens were the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And I was expecting more from the expansion too because, you know, it is a game. Chai is a game that I do enjoy playing. And I just thought like all this anticipation of it coming and waiting so long that there was going to be a lot more to it, and there wasn't. So I was kind of like, oh, like that's it. That was a little disappointing for me as a person who enjoys playing Chai. You know?
Right. And so I will say with the add-ons, just to kind of go with, I did get the 2 bags that were supposed to be extra large bags, right? And they looked really nice, but the bags were not larger. They were the exact same size as the normal bags that came in the game.
Right.
So I just paid extra money for these bags that are supposed to be larger because it's already such a pain to get in there and get the tiles out, you know, and with they just weren't, it wasn't good. It was bad. Just to buy equally bad bags that are just now silky. And so it was a waste of money. It was a waste of money. The expansion, I don't think was worth the money. There was $20 for the expansion. And then I think when we did the unboxing, I said it cost me $60 total. It was $54 but that's not including shipping. So then add shipping onto that. I paid $54 for the expansion, the acrylic tip tokens, the acrylic pantry tokens, and the enlarged bags that were not enlarged, not at all. They're the exact same size. Okay. And so, yeah, did you have any more negatives before I...
No, I don't.
Did mine?
I don't think so. I think those were like the biggest things for me.
I will say I do not like this game. I do not like this game. I do not like this expansion. I have no love to give, right? But most of that is because of my experience with the Kickstarter. Now, I might be in the minority. I don't know, okay? When I back Kickstarters, I follow them. I follow the updates. I follow the comments. I might not be very active in the comments or anything, but I like to know what's going on. You know, I don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I'm not a millionaire, anything like that. I can't just send my money off and not care what happens to it.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that Kickstarter is not a pre-order system, or there is some risk to not get the item that you back, right? You are backing somebody's project, that they have this idea and you're helping it to come alive, right? But in the 53 games that I've backed in the last 6 years that I've been involved in Kickstarter, I think the first time was, in 2016 when I backed a game. This is, for me, and I know some people have not had games that have delivered, but for me, this is my worst Kickstarter experience. And not the base game was late when I backed it, but I didn't mind that at all. Okay, it was Steeped Games' first Kickstarter they ever did. Okay, and usually Kickstarters are a few months late. That's fine. Okay, communication was bad in the first Kickstarter. Again, I wanted to be patient and gracious with them because it was their first time doing a Kickstarter. Okay, so the second time comes around, and the game you really liked, and I wanted to be able to support it. It was a small little expansion. Although I didn't feel like the Kickstarter page was very informative about what it was. Essentially a reprint with this little tiny expansion that you could get. Okay, so I bought the add-on, so I was like, you know what, Samantha really likes this game. I'll get the deluxe extras and I'll get the little expansion. No big deal. Okay, so this was essentially a reprint. There were no rules changes. They had like redid the rule book, I believe. Again, I did not get that, but then they had the tiny little expansion. There were 6 tiles and 2 dice. Okay, this Kickstarter for me was 14 months late. Okay, I live in the States. We live in Indiana. 14 months late. Okay, and throughout this campaign, there was a number of issues, a number of lies, a number of misinformation. It was horrible. People that were involved in the helping with, answering questions and being involved in the comments, they had 3 different people that went through this position. Okay, and there was one, which I will get to as one of my highlights for this game, that I honestly really did appreciate his help. I felt like he did the best job that he could with the information that he was given. Okay, so with this Kickstarter, okay, the game, I'll tell you now, the game, it's a little too simple for me, especially the 2-player game. I'll just kind of talk about the base game before I go into why I cannot stand this game. Ultimately, the game itself, if I'm reviewing the game itself, I would, just as I'll tell you my score for, I would give it a 6. It's meh. It's okay. It's a quick little game. We already kind of talked about those pantry cards I don't care about. It would get a 6. It's a beautiful looking game. There's not much to it. It's just meh. It's okay. Other than it being beautiful, and I see that it's gotten rewards for it looking gorgeous, and first time publishers, when all the rewards are going out, that was good. But I don't think anybody ever raves about this game, about how great the gameplay is and all this stuff. And I don't think it really shines there. This is almost like it's a big box filler game. And to me, not worth the money that you pay for a game that's this deluxeified. Maybe if you really love the game, fine. Maybe if you really love tea, fine. But the reality is that this game is not worth the money that it is. The gameplay is meh. In a 2-player game, I don't know if we ever reserve any customers or ever use those abilities. You know, and I just didn't find that it was ever. To me, it was almost like a waste of a turn. Yeah, I get to use an ability, but it was what it was. I just kind of was churning out and getting orders left and right because a lot of them aren't that difficult. You know, if I can just go to the pantry, fulfill, boom. Go to the market, fulfill, boom, done.
I think that would be more like with more players, the reserve.
Right. I think you would use it more during the more players. You would definitely.
Yeah.
So maybe at a higher player count, you would use that. But ultimately, the gameplay was meh to me at best. Okay. So I give the game a 6. Okay. It's just not my cup of tea. Pun
you gave
intended.
It a what? A 6.
6 for the game, but I would tell you right now, I would never. No, two for the experience.
Well, okay, so
I would go lower.
Obviously, so for me, the base game was better. I feel like the expansion, adding that, dropped my rating. I would have given it.
So what would
higher.
Just the base game be?
The base game, I would probably give it an 8.
Okay.
But
what would you give the expansion by itself? If you're just rating the expansion and what it brings to the game.
Can you give a 1?
I guess you could.
I mean,
you really don't need the expansion for this game.
No. And I would say with the expansion, adding it dropped it to probably like a 6.5 or a 7. And a 7 would be like generous.
I'm just saying, if you have an 8 and a 1, you average those out. I think it's more like a 4.5. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but the expansion alone, like it was essentially nothing.
Right.
So that's what I would give it. I obviously did not have the same frustrations that Andrew had. I did not have to go through this whole stressful process of lack of communication and all the issues that he talked about. So I did not have to deal with that personally, so that did not really impact me like it impacted him. Granted, I was frustrated for him, and I completely understand, his frustration, because I would be livid, if that were happening to me, and I would be questioning the same,
right. I question the integrity. I question I question everything, and I would never ever want to do business.
Yeah, and with being burnt out, like I feel like that's not a valid excuse if you're then putting out more games. If you're burnt out, you should take a break, stop, fill what needs to be filled. Because I feel
your inner therapist is coming in.
Yes, it is. I feel like that's a sign. If you're not working effectively and efficiently and communicating and taking care of the customers that you have first.
These are people that supported you.
Yeah, before you take on other projects, and then you're like, oh, I want more customers. Like,
you just ignore everybody.
The people that support you from the beginning, especially when it comes to Kickstarter, because that was something that I asked him about, was like, you could potentially not get your money, and that is a risk. But overall, I feel for the people that have had to also experience this. So, yeah. So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so that's our thoughts on Chai. That's our thoughts on Steeped. Well, my thoughts on Steeped games. That's, I just, I can't. I cannot enjoy this game because of it. I can't. The only reason we have it is because you like it. Otherwise, I would have done a video of me burning the game. I'm not lying.
I want him to be happy when he plays it.
I would. I just, and I generally give good reviews on games, even on games that probably aren't liked as much. But I can't. So that's our review for Chai and the expansion. Let us know. Are you one of the backers still waiting for your games? Mm-hmm. Are you, what? Maybe you don't see this as a problem, and that's fine. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. This was just my experience. So, what were some of your experience with a bad Kickstarter? Tell me how you get through it, and hopefully we don't ever have to deal with this kind of stuff again. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. I apologize for the rant, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.